We'll get to our esteemed guests in a moment. Just for us to properly situate that conversation, let's take a minute or two to look at the following package. The Nigerian Senate says it will conclude its review of the Constitution in July and has received more than 250 memoranda, including from the federal government on amendments to the 1999 Constitution. Arise political editor Sumna Sambo reports.
Deputy President of the Senate, Ove Omoagege, at this briefing on the scheduled public hearing of the fifth alteration of the 1999 Constitution, says Nigerians have the opportunity to air their views on the kind of governance reforms that they seek amidst the current agitations for a restructured country. The Senate assures that it will pass the constitution alteration bills before it proceeds on its annual recess in July.
The calendar we've set for ourselves is that we're going to have a vote on each of the bills, before we go on the July recess. We're using this opportunity to call on all Nigerians to effectively engage the process and present their demands or recommendations for consideration by the National Assembly.
Senator Omoagege says the 250 submitted memoranda have been analyzed by the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review, with consultations held on the best procedure for holding the national and zonal public hearings. He also assures all Nigerians of fairness while denying that the committee is facing funding challenges.
We've not been hampered in any way, and we believe we have enough resources to carry out this exercise. And whether or not we're taking a vote, in July, as I believe we will, it's not a function of how much money we have. Alteration, not rewrite of the Constitution, not outrightly jettisoning the Constitution and then producing a new Constitution. All they provided for was incremental alterations. And no, sir, this is not a jamboree. By the time we succeed with this, God willing, it will be the fifth alteration. Is that correct? Yes. It will be the fifth alteration. What that means that we've had the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. So no, it couldn't have been a jamboree. We took an oath to this Constitution, and we bound by those constitutional provisions. And so whatever I'm doing, or we are doing here, we are acting pursuant to Section 9 of the Constitution. So Nigerians will be happy with the final outcome.
After the zonal hearings in the 6 geopolitical zones this Wednesday and Thursday, the committee is to hold a national public hearing in Abuja next week to give opportunity to top government officials who could not attend the zonal hearings. Many Nigerians are worried that the National Assembly has lost so much time on the constitutional review, with analysts saying that once the Electoral Act Amendment Bill is passed soon, the race for 2023 elections may overshadow the exercise, with the subsequent delays used as an excuse by the president not to assent to it, based on previous experiences. Sumna Sambo, Arise News.
That was another piece of great reporting from Arise political editor Sumna Sambo. And that naturally takes us into the promoted conversation on Nigeria's current socio-political challenges, problems, and prospects with elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark, popularly known as E.K. Clark, on this very special occasion of his 94th birthday celebrations. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Happy birthday. Congratulations.
Good morning.
It's good to see you at 94.
Thank you very much.
He's sounding very strong, looking very strong. But quickly, before we begin to worry about Nigeria, let's talk about you. 94 years, you are still there going on very strong. What is the secret? What advice will you give the younger generation? How have you managed, all these years, from 1927 till now, and still there, still relevant? What is the secret?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, to give glory to God, to thank the Almighty God for keeping me alive up to this day. There's no other secret but my life. I live an open life. I live from day to day. In the first place, I came from a very good family background. And you, Ruben, you know my brother, your friend, who introduced you to me, that late Professor J.P. Clark. I was my third younger brother, same mother, same father, was 87. My other brother next to me is Ambassador B.A. Clark, who was Nigerian permanent representative at the United Nations. He's now 91, so I'm 94. We have the same mother, and we live a very simple life, but even though we come from, we have very good family background. As I said, I believe and speak in my mind at all times, and speak the truth, and damn the consequences. If you offend anybody, apologize to him later, in the interest of the Nigerian public. So I do not harbor any malice against anybody. I don't envy anybody. I've lived a good life. So all that I'm saying is that there is no other secret apart from that which God does not want me to know or must have given to me. So I appeal to the young ones in this country. Don't be in a haste, don't rush. Be yourself. Don't say because you want money, you slavish yourself, you become a second-class citizen in your country, you become thug, help other people. No. God knows where He creates you. You have your destiny. No matter however. So don't be at a rush. So my appeal to Nigerian youth is that live your life, be very well educated, believe in your country, believe in one Nigeria, do not envy anybody, live your life, and I think that's the secret. The secret is that I live with an open mind. I have an open mind. I sleep well. Speak my mind. When I go to bed, I don't think about anything else. Ruben, I think this is my secret. And as I said, I had brothers with whom I lived from at the age of 5. JP was 5. B was 8. I was 11. And we started eating together from the same pot. And until his death, anytime we are together, we eat from the same pot. So we live a good life, and we don't envy anybody. Thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing those tips, and happy birthday. Unfortunately, at this point in your birthday, I hope I don't ruin your mood when I ask you your comments on the president's statement being dismissive of the resolution reached by 17 southern governors. The president dismissed the notion of a ban on open grazing in southern Nigeria as of questionable legality. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, my daughter, today is a special day for me, not a day of going to very controversial issues. First and foremost, let me express on behalf of my family our profound gratitude and appreciation to Nigerians, from Mr. President down to the young teacher in the secondary school, who read my brother's books and who paid a tremendous tribute to him, which I thought did us proud. And I think this is an occasion. I'm not celebrating my birthday. I'm just observing it. So do not think that because of this interview I'm celebrating. No. I've decided to give my brother 1 year. I will mourn him. If God keeps me alive next year, I will have a good celebration at the age of 95. Now, as I said, today is a special day for me. I do not want to make controversial issues. I listened to Mr. President. And I think the first thing one should say is that the blame goes to his Attorney General. Who knows the law? We are lawyers. I've been a lawyer for 55 years. I may not be a son because I was in government for several years. But we know the law, we know the constitution. Some of us have taken part in bringing this type of constitution. And so we know the sections being referred to from time to time. You cannot equate cattle with human beings. In the first place, when I was very young, at the age of 15 or so, we see these cattle, these Fulani cattle rearers, they come to our village, we play with them. When they see you coming, they sometimes give you away. But today, at that time, we lived together. But it has come to a stage where people cannot live freely in their country. People are being raped. People are being killed. People are being maimed, being humiliated, and so on, dehumanized. And Mr. President swore an oath that he will protect the Nigerian citizens and their property. The welfare of the people should be his main concern. So I asked a question some time ago. I said, why? See, Mr. President said, shoot aside if you see anybody with AK-47. Are we saying that? Since that time, we have not seen any Fulani herdsman with AK-47, and yet they are killing people everywhere. That statement made by Mr. President, for whom was it made? Was it made for ordinary Nigerians who are not carrying AK-47 or meant for the people who are killing people from everywhere? Mr. President's statement is very unfortunate. As I said, today is not a day for me to make aggressive statements or controversial statements. But all I want to say is to advise Mr. President that he's the president of Nigeria, including me, who voted against him. And he's president of his friends, his enemies, and everybody. He has to accommodate everybody. So for him to behave as if he's president of a section of this country is most unfortunate. This cannot be the quality of a Nigerian president. So that statement is very unfortunate, and I would advise him to retract it. Because the Constitution is very clear. He is in charge of the entire country we call Nigeria today, including myself sitting down here, and yourselves. But the state governors, 36 of them, were voted in their states as he was voted in the whole country. So they have their states under them. They control their states. They are the chief security officers of their states. Mr. President cannot go to states to go and dictate to them. We are not in a military government where you obey hierarchy. Mr. President has enormous powers, but there are areas where it must stop. You have the same thing. If we are copying the American system of federalism, look, the president of America does not go about dictating to states. So I think that all that I will advise, in order not to cause confusion or create crisis, let those who doubt, who have no belief in the governor's statements, go to court to challenge it. And I think the governors are ready to go to any length, to the Supreme Court. You can't rule Nigeria as if you are ruling the military government. So that statement is very unfortunate. So I appeal to Mr. President on my 94th birthday, even though he has not considered necessary one day, to invite people like us who have been in government. I've been a state functionary. I've been a federal functionary. When some of us were in government, We all know what position they were holding. So they should not just undermine us that there are no elders in this country. Some people can just wield it at other people that we are around. But that time is past, my daughter. Nigerians have now known their rights. They will defend themselves. So as far as I'm concerned, if the governor of Benue State has gone to the extent of telling these people, defend yourself with whatever you have, the situation is very, very bad. And I think Mr. President should listen to this type of thing, that there's going to be anarchy in this country if we do not take care. Nobody can take over everybody in this country. The time is past. So I think that, as I said, we all support what the 17 governors have stated about this open grazing also. And I'm surprised. Mr. Vice President presided over a meeting of the 36 governors, the Economic Council, or what they call it, provided for in the Constitution. And they themselves stated that open grazing is dangerous. It will affect even the environment. It affects the security of this country.
Okay.
Then even the northern governors, particularly the governor of Kano, condemned it. And even at the governor forum, presided over by Fayemi, my son, they condemned it. Is it because 17 southern governors have made that statement? That is why it is now a crime? That's not a questionable issue. When the 19 governors of the North meet with Mr. President, he has never issued one statement one day against them. Very unfortunate.
Okay, sir.
So all that I'm saying, it was a way when these things happened. What I should have expected that even if he was not happy about it, to call the 17 governors, as he does with his own people.
Okay.
Call them to Aso Rock. Belongs to all of us. Some of us have been ministers before. We have used all these places. Call them for a meeting.
Okay, sir.
At this juncture, let me say this. Mr. President is not an emperor. Mr. President is not a king. Mr. President is not a dictator. He's a politician. And I know during the subsidy, oil subsidy, what he played in 2012, the role, and Tinubu, they all played at Ganfawimi place, I know, center. They never brought Jonathan's government down. But today, the subsidy is being operated in secrecy. We don't know what is happening. We don't know who is spending it. We don't know what is going on. That's why the chairman of the governors forum said, is fraudulent? So what am I saying? Listen to your Nigerians.
Okay, sir.
They are your subjects. They are your citizens. So
okay.
My daughter, the question you asked,
okay.
I don't want to comment more on this.
Okay, sir.
As I said, today is my special day. I don't want to
okay, sir.
Use languages that will be controversial. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, and it's indeed your specialty. I mean, it's amazing seeing you reach the age of 94 gracefully in a country where life expectancy is just in the early 50s, and may you continue to live longer than this. I just want to ask you this.
Thank you, my son. God bless.
You said that one of the things that have kept you all these years, since 1927, as Dr. Apadi pointed out, is the fact that you keep an open mind, towards everyone. And I'd like to ask you,
yes,
with all of this happening in the country today, with something that is, seemingly very, pedestrian, like cow or cattle, causing a division between the North and the South, with promises of restructuring in political manifestos not honored, with cries of secession here and there, with 33% unemployment rate, with heavy levels of poverty in the country, over 100 million people in poverty. How do you keep an open mind? How?
Well, when I say I keep an open mind in the sense that I speak at any time. I do not abhor anything. You've asked me a question which I was trying to answer. I said today is not a day for me to make controversial statements. I have been talking very vocally, speaking my mind. That's what I mean by open mind, saying what you think you should say. I don't keep anything secret. So I've spoken several times. Number one, we believe, some of us who have been not in government, I've been following the government of Nigeria for the past 70 years. And I know what happened in 1963. When Chief Anthony Nahon moved a motion for the independence of Nigeria in 1956, the northern parliamentarians walked out. And they said they will never return to Lagos. They were going to be on their own. So who started secession bid? It started as far back as 1963. They started it. That was what gave rise to the London Conference of 1957, 58, and so on. And that gave rise from the Macpherson's Constitution to Littleton to independence. When we had independence, that constitution was drawn up by the white people, by the British, who are our masters, and Nigerians, and Marlborough House. We had independence, which we call independent constitution, made by the British and Nigerians. But in 1963, Nigerians on their own, under Tafawa Balewa's government, as Prime Minister of Nigeria, made their own constitution, which they call Republican Constitution, which recognized that as we have been living before since 1963, during the Macpherson's Constitution, let us recognize our differences. Let us respect our differences. If you are a Yoruba man, let us respect you. If you are a Hausa man, let us respect you. So, the leader decided that let us have a constitution whereby all the regions will operate on their own, at their own pace. Don't one region to hold the other one to ransom. If you have no money to run your region, look for it. Look for resources in your area. And I know at that time, my son, we are still alive. When Chief Obafemi Awolowo established pre-primary education in 1956, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and Sardauna Sokoto could not do it because their resources were not up to what was available to the Western region. Then when in 1959, television was first established by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, he did not extend it to Midwest region where I come from. Why? That we were not contributing economically to the region of to the Western region. Israeli companies were employed by Chief Obafemi Awolowo to develop the Western region. We were not affected. Cocoa House was built, the tallest house in Nigeria. University of Ife, I'm now talking about my area, where I come from. And we agitated that we wanted our region. That's why in 1963, Midwest region was created. So one cannot keep quiet to see that the Nigeria we built up is dying. In 1966, there was a coup. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Leading to fighting a civil war.
Sir, if you can hear me,
in 1967, we fought a civil war.
Sir, if you can hear me, sir.
Yes.
We'll go on a quick break and we'll come back to you to make these points. So sorry about that. We'll go on a quick break. We'll come back to you, sir.
Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still elder statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, popularly known as E.K. Clark, who is 94 today. And we join everyone in congratulating him, founder of PANDEV, former Commissioner for Education, former Commissioner for Finance in the Midwestern region, Federal Commissioner for Information in 1975, and truly an elder statesman, former Senator of the Federal Republic in the Second Republic. Chief, well, I mean, I listened to you, you know, the build-up to constitutional development and also what happened up till 1963. And you were just going to talk about 1966, and I'd like to take it from there. In 1966...
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you,
I wanted to ask a question, sir.
Really?
Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to say that, look, as a student in the UK, you were a member of the West African Students' Union. Later, you joined the NCNC. But in 1966, despite the fact that you were part of that process of creating the Midwest region, you opposed the idea of confederation that was proposed by the Gowon administration. Gowon at that time wanted a loose federation. But over the years, you shifted. Now, over the years, you started arguing for restructuring, for federalism. At what point did you change your views in terms of how Nigeria should be organized?
Well, thank you very much. While I was in England, we played Nigerian politics, West African politics. Since one came back, we had, as I told you earlier on, we had a federal system of government. The issue of confederation was a northern idea before independence. They wanted a very loose federation. And you remember, after the coup of 1966, General Gowon summoned a meeting, what we may call was a constituent assembly. Some of us were members, where papers were given to us, either in blue color, red, white, and so on. Do we want a confederation? Do we want a federation? Do we want a unity form of government? Or do we want a total breakup? And many Nigerians, and I can say, apart from the Midwest region where I come from, headed by Tony Naoro at that conference, many others wanted confederation. We said we should have a federation. And I believe in that since that time. And it has paid us. Even though the regions had no resources, equal resources. And let me give you an example. When we broke off, the Western Nigerian government, under General Adebayo, refused to share what we call it, the assets and liabilities of the Western region, today, the only region, because they said we did not contribute to the economy of Western Nigeria at the time. So we had nothing. Cocoa had University of Ife and all these things, even the draft group of companies. We have nothing. The Western House in Lagos, we have nothing. But today, things have changed. Today, the Westerner, the Easterner, the Northerner now depend upon Midwest region, or which we call Midwest state. And they're treating us like second-class citizens. all the oil blocks in this country are owned by Northerners, by Westerners, and so on. We don't lift oil. We are treated like slaves, second-class citizens in our own country. As Peter Naro said the other day, that was last year, he said, oil runs through our backyard. But if I want to benefit from that oil, I have to travel to Daura to meet Mr. President Buhari. Do I benefit from the oil which is being produced in my backyard? He said, yes, but with conditions. If you want to become an APC member, or do you have another director in your company? So these conditions, I cannot. So when our boys are kicking, they said that the militants, the job militants are kicking. They can no longer be second-class citizens in their country. So I believe in federal system of government. But the constitution we have today is not a constitution meant for us, for a federal system of government. It's a unitary constitution whereby powers concentrate in the federal government. And who are the members of that government? The Northerners and other people. Now we are reduced to crump eating. So that's why we said, for Nigeria to survive, Reuben, we must restructure this country. If we don't restructure Nigeria, as President Buhari said, if we don't cure corruption, corruption will kill us. If we don't restructure Nigeria, non-restructuring of Nigeria will kill us. We have no other way to go.
We certainly don't,
must restructure this country.
We absolutely must, sir. But I have to ask, because in view of what you just said, the undeniable injustice done to people from what we call the South-South region of Nigeria, the Niger Delta, and even the kind of environmental degradation that goes on unchecked there, why do you advocate restructuring? Why not secession? Why do you stop short, having described Nigeria as a failed state?
Thank you, my daughter. I've always asked this question. Who owns Nigeria? If I leave this country, whom do I leave it for? Who owns it? Is Nigeria for the Northerners alone? Or for Westerners alone? I cannot succeed. I belong to this country. And if we are not ready to settle our differences, well, I don't know what will happen. But I am not going to leave Nigeria for... I don't believe in secession. Simple.
Sage was speaking yesterday.
Does that satisfy you?
Issa Sage was speaking yesterday, sir, and he talked about Nigeria going to the 63 Constitution. Your take on that, sir?
Oh, fantastic. That was a very good speech by Issa Sage. And I praise him for that because they asked him, are you still a member of your committee? He said, yes, they are still going on, even though we don't hear much about them. Let us go back to the 1963 Constitution, which we call Republican Constitution, made by Nigerians alone. Nobody forced them. They agreed that let us have a federal system of government whereby there will be 4 regions. Those 4 regions will govern themselves. They have their own constitution. They have their own agent general. Nigeria had a high commissioner in London. I used to be part of Western Nigeria. But when Midwest was created, and this constitution was created, we had agent general in the person of Justice J.P. Oki. So I broke away from West. And I used to go to Midwest, where I was not forced to speak Yoruba to eat. So these are the good things we benefited from this. So what Issa Sage is saying, let us go back to the 1963 Constitution, where the Northerners, the Westerners, the Easterners, and the Midwesterners took part in drafting it, and they accepted it. And it operated very well until 1966. So if there are things to be amended, okay, where your resources produced in your area, you benefit from them. But because you are not alone in this country, others must share in them. And then let them also develop their resources. That was what happened until General Gawan came into power in 1966. And he said he needed all the money to fight the civil war. So the idea of 50% going to the region was abolished or was abandoned. Later, what happened at the end of the war? It became 1%, 1.3%, 3%. And with the help of, at the Constituent Assembly, with the help of people like late General Shehu Yaradua, and Abacha was then the head of state, 13% was accepted. Minimum. But today, up to today, it has not increased up to 15%, 18%, 25%, or 50%. Each constitutional conference we have gone to, certain Nigerians have opposed it. 2005 conference, I was the leader of our delegation from the Midwest, South. We walked out that we're going home. And that was the end of that conference. In 2014 conference again, 18% was recommended. Other Nigerians said, some Nigerians said no. And they control everything. Today, the oil industry in the South is being controlled mainly by the Northerners. Let them understand. Let President Yaradua understand that this country belongs to all of us. Our boys have no job. You need divers. Companies need divers. They need swimmers. They will go to the north, east, and west to bring divers when there are natural divers, natural swimmers in the south, Niger Delta. That's why our boys are kicking. So 2009, there was a mini war between the Jaws and the armed forces, which led to this amnesty, which today has changed. You go to the amnesty office today in Abuja.
Well, Chief,
there are few Niger Delta people working there.
Well, Chief,
so what's the type of injustice?
Yeah.
So we believe that restructuring is the only answer to this country.
Chief,
if you don't restructure,
Chief,
then there will be anarchy in this country.
Chief, I get your point about restructuring, but two quick questions as we begin to wrap up. Now, the National Assembly is organizing a constitution review process. The public hearings will start today, tomorrow, in 6 geopolitical zones. Do you think that some of those issues that have been raised and the process that have been initiated by the National Assembly can help deliver that constitution that can activate the process of restructuring or ensure the restructuring that many stakeholders ask for? And finally, when you look back from UK from West African Students' Union to NCNC to membership of to commissionership in the Midwestern region, to federal commissionership of information, to the Senate, to PANDEF, to, all the major highlights of your public career. Are there disappointments? Are there regrets? Do you feel that the journey has been worth the effort?
Now, thank you very much, Ruben. Let me come to the first one. Well, I'm not a pessimist. This is not the first time that they are going to amend the Constitution. I think this should be the 5th time. And nothing has come out of it. They said every year they vote 1 billion naira every time. Let me say this. In 2015, the APC party drew up a manifesto and said that restructuring through federalism is the answer to Nigerian problem. And they won the election. Now, to practice it, they didn't want to. Until when they found that various ethnic organizations were fighting for, restructuring. Then they appointed El-Rufai's committee, which went around the whole country. They produced a draft constitution, as we did in 2014. So there are already constitutions. If you are in government, and Mr. President approved that Rufai something, as they said, Oyegu said so, that they passed through them, a white paper was produced by Rufai said so, let us adopt, even forget about 2014 report, because we are in opposition. Those who produce are in opposition. Let us take Rufai's committee. So I'm challenging this government. Let's forget the amendment of the Constitution. Debate, then Mr. President sent a memorandum, executive memo to the National Assembly to consider the El-Rufai's report. And we'll accept it for the meantime. That is better than going about amending the Constitution. They tried last time. The last one was that they never wanted devolution of power. And if you know you are benefiting from what other people are producing and they are not benefiting, why will you support it? So that's the position we have. So I do not have any confidence in what the exercise that is being carried out. That's number one. Number two, Ruben, I have every reason to thank the Almighty God for keeping me alive. I've exceeded the years lived by my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather. What do I still want in life? I said some years ago that when you are 70 and above, you are at the departure lounge, waiting for your boarding pass. Now, today I'm 94. I've already collected my boarding pass. God is saying that you are not going yet. Certain things that you have to correct. So when the INC people, the John National Congress new executive visited me yesterday, I said, yes, God is keeping me alive to see that I give you guide, to see that you are true Nigerians. When God thinks that I've finished my job, I've done my job, He will give me your boarding pass, you can go. So, as far as I have no regret in life. But as I said earlier on, at all times, you lose brothers, you lose father, and you lose the people, certain things happen. My regret today, Ruben, is that Nigeria, after getting independence in 1960, is moving backward instead of moving forward. Malaysia, which used to depend upon us, are moving ahead. Indonesia and many, Singapore, even India, which got, what of Ghana near us here? Ghana must go. Have we forgotten that? Today, they are now the one driving our people from their country.
Indeed, sir. The situation.
Nothing. So that's my regret. About it, that is my regret that Nigeria has not attained what I thought it should attain.
Indeed, sir. Indeed, sir.
We should be a developed country.
We should.
The largest African country. That I've been serving in this country for years. That today, Nigeria is moving backward instead of moving forward.
Indeed, sir.
That is my biggest regret, Ruben.
But the situation has been this alarming for quite a while, I'm sure you'll agree. So my first question, is why did the president, as he then was, Goodluck Jonathan, not restructure Nigeria when he had the chance? And secondly, what is going on in Delta State politics at the moment? Ijaw candidate, Urobo candidate, jostling for the position of governor of Delta State. What side do you fall on?
Thank you very much. The first question about Jonathan. Jonathan, after a series of meetings between southern Nigeria, and between the southwest, south-south, and southeast. We advised for the restructuring of this country. We led a series of delegations to him. So in 2014, he decided to establish, after he had appointed Senator Femi Okurumo's committee to go around the country. And that was a very successful conference made of 492 delegates. We made 600 recommendations. That Jonathan did not act in time. It came a bit late, but he had done it. But the time left for him was too short for him to execute. I'm not saying that there were not administrative area that he couldn't have carried out, but he handed over that report. A government is a continuous something. And I think that Buhari, who believe in the restructuring, who believe in federalism, should have taken it up, whether it was made by his predecessor or not. Because there's no difference between what Air Rufai had reported and the 2014. So I do not think Jonathan had time, because his time was very short before the elections. I think that may be the reason. Now, coming to that, at the moment, you know, I'm now a national figure. I've grown above state politics, and I'm a Democrat. So I'll leave them. At any time I feel like speaking, I'll speak. So I'm an Urobo man. I'm an Ijaw man first. Urobo, Shekiri, Isoko. I think I have the blood of Ijaw, Urobo, Shekiri, and Isoko flowing in me. That is my strength in Delta. So I'm not going to make any statement now on that.
On that
Let's
note,
watch when they see how things are going.
On that note, Chief Edwin Clark.
My daughter, does that satisfy you?
Yes, sir.
She says yes, she's fine with that explanation.
Yes,
I would like to thank you very much for joining us and wish you again a very happy birthday. And as you know, sir, birthday celebrations have implications, but we'll discuss that off camera. Congratulations once again, sir. Many happy returns.